the brilliant light of God, always ahead, guiding me now. His love brought me toward the church. I chose to worship Him and bow. I will give praise. I will give praise. I will give praise, for He loves me always. I will give praise. I will give praise. I will give praise, for He loves me always. I know the one who has saved me, Jesus the Lord who died for me. Since I have no way to repay, I will give Him praise and glory. I know the one who has saved me, Jesus the Lord who died for me. Since I have no way to repay, I will give Him praise and glory. He gave me rest in His embrace. My corrupted life He maintains. Dying on the cross for my sins, I was healed while He was in pain. His tireless arms carry me so that I may live in honor. For my salvation He came down, humbly He laid in a manger. I will give praise. I will give praise. I will give praise, for He loves me always. I will give praise. I will give praise. I will give praise, for He loves me always. I know the one who has saved me, Jesus the Lord who died for me. Since I have no way to repay, I will give Him praise and glory. I know the one who has saved me, Jesus the Lord who died for me. Since I have no way to repay, I will give Him praise and glory. To glorify, I will sing songs. On the cross Jesus shed His blood. For the sake of His children's lives, He gave His life for those He loved. This love brought Christ from the heavens. The humble God came for my gain. I became holy through the Lamb on Calvary. The Lord was slain. I will give praise. I will give praise. I will give praise, for He loves me always. I will give praise. I will give praise. I will give praise, for He loves me always. I know the one who has saved me, Jesus the Lord who died for me. Since I have no way to repay, I will give Him praise and glory. I know the one who has saved me, Jesus the Lord who died for me. Since I have no way to repay, I will give Him praise and glory. The King who wore a crown of thorns left His throne and glory for me. He guided me to my honor. With holy blood I was redeemed. Bowing His head
hymns of the angels? Say it with me. May you hear the hymns of the angels? Okay. So that being said, hopefully you guys have come back refreshed with minds and learned some new things along the way. That being said, we're now going to take the two things that we learned at the beginning. One, that that the church is our mother, and that she loves us endlessly. She is here for us from the moment that we are born all the way unto death. And that our mother, our lovely mother, is sick. That's what we discussed yesterday. And in our next sermon by, one more mouthful, Deacon, Doctor, Professor, Zamari, Mahmud, I don't know, the list goes on and on. Dawit.
In the name of the Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit, one God. Amen. Greetings to everybody here. How is the conference going so far? Yes? Yes, it's going well. You guys have loved all the breakout sessions. I heard the Q&A was the best session of all. Is that about right? Did that sum it up? Okay. So, who was not here yesterday? Who was not here yesterday? Okay. Who was here yesterday? Okay. All right. If you guys recall, I said yesterday the sermon was going to end like in a weird note. Okay. And it was because it was designed to do that. It was designed to leave you in a place of like, whoa, what's happening, right? For those of you who were not here yesterday, I highly implore you to go back and listen to the sermon from yesterday, all right? Just like I said yesterday, the sermon won't make sense unless you hear the sermon from today. The sermon from today won't really make sense unless you hear the sermon from yesterday. Does that make sense? So I really want to encourage everybody to go back and listen and re-listen. Right? Like, go back and listen to it again. By the way, the sermon, like, share it with other people. Let the world know where we are. Like, people need to kind of understand where we are. So, the conference, the theme is on what? The theme of the conference. Let us rise and build. This book is on the book of Nehemiah, right? And what we said was yesterday in the book of Nehemiah, we find that Nehemiah is in a palace and he's hanging out, chilling, relaxing. When all of a sudden people from Jerusalem come and they give him the report about Jerusalem. And they tell him Jerusalem is not doing well. The cities are burnt and the wall has not been built. And the wall is very important at the time. And what does Nehemiah do? What was his response? He cries, he laments. That's right. We said our Jerusalem is the church. That's right. We said, first of all, we need to have empathy. We have to have this kind of like attitude that there's something more important than me. And this is a very Western tradition where we've been trained to think only about ourselves. This me attitude. But that's not how we should think. That's not the way that the Bible thinks, and that's not the way that the tradition our fathers have taught us. There's something more bigger than myself. And if we understand this empathy, then we begin to ask about others around us. And then we said, why should we care about the church? This was raised at Q&A several times. Yes, we should care about the church because it gave us Dabo and Shai. That's what we said, right? But these are illustrations, metaphors for how the church has taken care of us all these years. It has fed us, it has played with us, it has talked to us, it has received us with open arms. I'm not talking about people. I'm talking about the church itself. The doors has been open. It receives us from the time that we are born, and it will care for us until the time that we're dead. We said the only characteristics that fits these categories, if we personified the church, would be our mother. Then we said, if we have empathy and we care, then we should be able to ask, how is my mother? And how do we say our mother was doing? What did we say? She's sick. She's really sick. Our mother is really sick. The church is really, really sick. And one of the things that we talked about is retention. People are not showing up to church. This is a major, major problem. According to our retention rate, because it's at 10%, we are on a trajectory for the churches to be closed. And lest you think that I'm exaggerating and using fear tactics to get your attention, just look around you at the church that you're in right now. This building was once an American church building. And this church was closed down, and now we're in it because they couldn't keep up with their retention. You go to Deborah Height, which is not too far from here. That church used to be a Protestant church. Now we're in it. Churches do close. It's happened before. It will happen to us if we don't do something about it. And we closed up by saying, like Nehemiah, we should be lamenting. That is the appropriate response to what happened. Today's lesson is titled Tansu'u Nihinis. Tansu'u Nihinis. Let us rise and build. Everybody say with me, let us rise, and build. We left off with Nehemiah crying. But that's where we're going to start the story today. The story doesn't end with Nehemiah crying. The story doesn't end with Nehemiah giving hope. In fact, today, that's where we begin our story. After he prays, after he laments, Nehemiah goes to the king and asks permission to go back to Jerusalem. He asks for resources so he can build the city once again. He goes back to Jerusalem and he makes a very passionate speech for the people there. In Nehemiah chapter 2, verse 17 through 18, he said, "Then I said to them," this is Nehemiah speaking, "you see the problem we have." What's the problem they have? Don't forget, this is our interaction sermon, okay? What's the problem they have? The wall is down, the city is broken, right? You guys remember. And then he says, "Jerusalem lies waste and its gates are destroyed by fire. Come, let us build the wall of Jerusalem again, that we may no longer be put to shame. Come, let us build the wall." Respectfully. Yesterday, after I told you that the church is sick, that your mother is sick, like you see the problem. We talked about the problem. There's a real issue in the church. And if we don't do something about it, the churches will close. After you see this problem, if your response is, that has nothing to do with me, respectfully, this sermon is not for you. I can't do nothing. I'm not going to convince you to care. Eventually, you have to make the decision, do I care? Do I care about my church? Do I care about this church that I grew up in? And by the way, I want to be very clear, right? I'm not talking about the theology. Some people, when we talk about coming to the church, people say, hey, I got questions about the theology. I got questions about the teachings of the church. That's fine. There's a different sermon for that. This is just not it. This sermon is not it. Today, I'm just simply saying your mom is sick. You don't have to agree with everything your mom says. There's a different sermon for that. We'll address it. Today, all I'm saying is your mother is sick, and do you care? Okay? And if your answer to that is, it has nothing to do with me, I can't really help, well, I'm too busy, respectfully, this sermon is not for you. I watch a lot of reality shows. And there was this one show where this wife was about to give birth. And her idiot husband was like, yo, responsibility is too much. I need to go and have fun with friends. So he started being about that life, okay? And it turned out that the wife, while she was giving birth, there was a lot of complications. She was like, it was a serious like kind of birth thing. And they're telling him, hey, like you need to go like visit your wife. He's like, well, right now it's just, it's too much for me and I gotta do me right now. Like, what do? Eventually, you have to say, I care or you don't care. If you don't care, let's keep it moving. We agree? We agree? We can't force you to care. We can't force you to care. So now, respectfully, I'm only talking to the people who care. Okay? I'm only talking to the people who say, no, I care. It's my business. It's my mother. I want to do something. What can we do? I'm talking to you. I'm talking to you. Are we together? Are we together? Okay. Second thing. There is this misconception, and I'm going to come back to this later. Huge misconception that somehow the business of the church falls on the shoulder of the priests. Huge misconception. It's true, the priests have a role. It's true, the clergy have a role. But trust me, you're a part of the church. There's this notion that the priests got it under control. They're good. They got it. I'm going to just kind of sit in the back corner and do me all day. I'm telling you, that's not how it operates. I'm telling you. I'm telling you. True story. True story. When I used to live in a monastery, one day out of nowhere, we used to live like by a lake. And if you guys don't know, I went to Debre Limanos. It's the largest monastery in Africa. And if you haven't been, I really encourage everybody to go and see it. It's beautiful. And when I was there, this one particular day, people were running back and forth to the lake, and we noticed like something was off, something is wrong, right? And it turned out about 15 minutes from where we were staying at, this one house was on fire, okay? Keep in mind, there's no 911, there's no help, there's nothing, and these houses are made out of grass and mud and stuff like that, and they catch on fire real quick, right? And there's an evolutionary part to this where if you don't help that house, the next house will burn down and it will eventually reach you. Does that make sense? So it's like there's this like personal, like, selfish attitude of helping the house helping with the fire. But there's a human aspect as well. When somebody's hurting, you go and help. And that's exactly what people did. They found a bucket, they went to the lake, and they helped put out the fire. You know what didn't happen that day? People weren't looking around like, where are their priests? What should we do next? There weren't people in yellow vests directing people where to go, right? There weren't people knocking on people's doors saying, you got to evacuate now. People understood we're the only ones that could do it. People are not looking for rules and guidance of what to do. That's the type of situation we're in right now. Don't expect for people to come and say, hold your hand and say, hey, this is what you got to do. And there's this guidance and you stay in this corner, you stay in that corner. Right now, what you needed is to help your mom. Remember the analogy that I gave you. Your mom is sick. When your mom calls and says, hey, I'm sick, the appropriate response is not, well, I'm not a doctor, Mom. You never do that, would you? Well, Mom, I don't know any of this, like, good luck. You say, okay, I'm there. I'm there. The first decision you have to make is, do you care or do not care, right? And no one else can help you. Now, in our story in Nehemiah, what ends up happening is something beautiful. The minute he talks to them, he tells them, you see this problem, the building needs to be built. Guess what people start doing? They start building the wall. And it's a beautiful scene. A lot of times when I read, I'm a visual learner. So when I read the Bible, I like to visualize how it's happening. And it was almost like, and if you read Nehemiah chapter 2, 3, 4, you get a list of names. It's like one corner. This family, it lists like the family. They're working on one section of the wall. And right next to them was a different family that was working on one section of the wall. And right next to them was a different people working on one section of the wall. Shoulder to shoulder, the entire community came. Children, mothers, fathers, priests, laymen, all of them came together and they built the wall. If you want to build the church, you are needed. Don't get too confused about but what do I do? I'll tell you what you're going to do. I promise. I'll tell you what you're going to do. But before talking about what do I do, accept the fact that you need to do something. That's the first step. You see, convince yourself that you are needed for this project of saving your mother. That's the first step. What you will do, I'll tell you in a second, I promise. But first, you have to convince yourself up here, I need to do something. Does that make sense? Does that make sense? All right, let's get to it. What do you do? What do you need to do? It's not that hard. If you want to save the church, before you talk about giving money to the church, before you talk about being a deacon, before you talk about taking theology classes, before you talk about doing anything, above all, if you want to save your church, you know what you got to do? You have to show up. What do we say the biggest problem in our church was right now? Attendance. How do we fix attendance issues? Show up. We listed a bunch of problems, right? Like we said financial problems. We said issues, stuff like various things. We listed a bunch of problems the church has. If you want to guarantee that the church remains open, what do? Show up. If you show up, I guarantee you the church will be open. Our AC may not be working. The venue may not look nice. The services may not be to the quality of what you expect. I guarantee the church will be open. If I wasn't here today, TK would give the sermon. If Mazhab Mirats weren't here today, we'll open up YouTube and listen to Mazmur. If you're not here today, there's no conference. I told you yesterday, I'll repeat it again. I have been part of discussions about closing down Bible studies because you're not showing up. This is already happening. By the way, this whole idea of the church closing down is not a theory. It's actually happening in Bible studies. We're seeing it trickle down. If you show up, the church will remain open. The number one way you can save the church, if you care, if the church is your mother, and you love your mother, and you're like, what can I do? Show up for your church. Be present. Sometimes I talk to people and we talk about Bible study. They're like, well, you know, like, not really getting a lot out of this Bible study, and like, let's say like 10 Commandments, right? Like you learn about the 10 Commandments and the next session is about the 10 Commandments. You're like, well, I already know that and I already know the concept. Or, you know, the preacher, he's not as funny as I am, you know. So you're like, oh, well, you know, that guy, like, I want a different teacher or whatever the case is, right? And then people, because of these decisions, they don't go to Bible study. Or my favorite one is, you know what, I had a long day today. Like, I don't even know if I go there, I'm not going to be able to pay attention. Like, I'm just so tired. Like, I don't want to go. You hear this? You know what all these excuses have in common? It's the me attitude. It's what is in it for me? Me. But right now, the goal is not about you. Remember, turn to the person next to you and tell them, sometimes it's not about you. It's not about you, all right? And turn to the person, the other side, and tell them it's definitely not about you. No, I'm kidding. Please don't do that one. Don't do that one. Okay, don't do that one. All right. Sometimes, if your mom is sick, are you guys with me? If your mom is sick, the best thing you could do for your mom is hold her hand. If your mom is telling you a story that you've heard 100 times, it doesn't matter. Why are you there? You're just there to hold her hand. Sit down at a service. Whether you get it, you don't understand it, you don't agree with it, that's not why you're there. You're there to hold the church's hand, your mother's hand. If you don't listen to a single word, just sit down. If you want to save your church, come to church. It seems like a complicated idea, but it's not, I promise you. I promise you. If you're so tired after work, and you're like, you know what, I'm just so exhausted, come and sleep. I'm not encouraging it, but I'm telling you, if you come to the church will stay open. This is the biggest way, more than the theology, more than the services, more than anything else you could do. If you want to save your church, come and just sit down. That is the biggest thing the church needs from you right now. It seems so complicated, but it's not. It's really not. And when I say show up, I want to be very careful here. And I'm going to talk to the servants. There's a difference between showing up and performing. I'm going to pick on my servants a little bit. All right? When I say showing up versus performance, right now, I'm performing. This is a performance. I got a job to do, and I'm here to do my job because people are looking at me, and then I'm going to go. That's not showing up. Mazammirats. Coming at the end of Qadasi, changing your lips, and clapping a few times and going away, that's not showing up. Deacons. Coming at Mahalit, taking the mic and screaming as loud as you can, and then leaving right afterwards, that's not showing up. Showing up means being present. I'll tell you guys a true story. True story. So I have a 1-year-old, and my wife is right here. Everybody clap for my beautiful wife. Yes. She's so beautiful, amazing. Oh, wow, how great. All right, so my wife loves me. I believe. But what happens is, so she's the breadwinner, okay, like at home. So she goes to work or whatever. I stay home with the kid, and then she calls me every day, and she never asks about me. But I'm not here to vent or anything like that. Her first question is, "How's Sandu?" And I'm like, "He's good." And then she wants a full report, okay? What did he eat? How did he poop? And you're a parent when you start talking about poops of your baby. That's how you know you made it in life, okay? There's nothing finer than that. And then she asked me for a report. So one day she asked me, "How is he?" And I'm like, today he had a fall. She's like, "Oh no, poor Sandu. Like, where did he fall?" And I'm like, I don't know. And she's like, "What did he hit?" I'm like, I'm not sure. She's like, "Why?" I was like, "Well, I wasn't there." She's like, "Well, that's the problem." Like, that's the issue, you know what I mean? Because you can't prevent a fall. You can't prevent a fall. Like, kids fall all the time, right? But if you're not there, and you don't see how he fell, you don't know where he hit himself, you can't even console him, well, that's the problem. If you're not present in the church, that's the problem. You don't know what's going on. You don't know the problems. You don't know what to prevent. You don't know how to help because you're not here. If you want to save the church, I'm telling you, be present. And when I say be present, particularly 2 places. Number 1, Qadasi. Qadasi is the place where we don't just talk about God, we encounter God. It is important that you are present when the church says, "I need you, my children. I need you, my kids. I need you." She's saying, come to Qadasi. When you're at Qadasi, you are encountering Christ. The church remains open as long as there's Qadasi. You could stop Mahalit, you could stop Saatat, Sarksal, Bible study, all these things. But if you don't have Qadasi, you don't have a church. Come to Qadasi. If you want to save your church, if you want to help your mom, what the church is saying by be present is show up to Qadasi. The second thing is Bible study. Bible study is so critical to show up. Like I said, you don't have to always come to be prepared to learn or anything like that. The reason why you're coming to Bible study is to be present. I'll give you guys 1 or 2 arguments, and then I'll move on. So imagine if you're in your 30s, okay, and you come to Bible study, and you don't see anybody else that looks like you in the 30s at Bible study. What are you gonna do? You're gonna leave. You're gonna be like, this must be a kid thing. But if you see people that look like you, mothers, parents, kids, deacons, everybody in your age group, and then you see other people coming, what do you think other folks are going to do? They're going to start going as well. Bible study is the first time that a lot of people will encounter the church. Qadasi is where we encounter God. Bible study for a lot of folks is the first time they're going to encounter the church. The reason why you're going doesn't have to be always to learn something. It's not always to take something. You're going to the church to be present. Do we agree? Do we agree? Okay, let's keep going. Second thing. If you want to save your church, learn about the church. Learn about the church. It's far easier to be passionate about something, when you understand what that's about, rather than moving by emotions. I talked to a lot of people yesterday after the sermon. People telling me, wow, I've never seen the church being like the mother, and she's sick, wow, and people are really feeling it. That's good, but that's also emotions. And I think we were talking about it earlier. Emotions are gonna get you so far. It's not gonna give you the long haul, right? Like, it's a good kick, like a good jump start, but it's not gonna get you to the long haul. If you wanna get to the long haul, you've got to understand what the church is about. True story. About a year or 2 years ago, I posted this like theological thing about the Virgin Mary on Facebook, okay? This is a true story. And then somebody took my post and put it on a group chat. And they were like, look what this idiot has to say. And oh my gosh, he's so dumb. And all this stuff, they're going down on me. I'm reading all this stuff. I'm like, it's time to respond. And then I go on a rant, okay? And we go back and forth all day long. They were like essays. We were going back and forth. Eventually we were like, okay, let's meet online. Let's face to face, Zoom, let's do it. And we set up a time and we go on Zoom, cameras on, both heated, ready to go. And the minute we turn on the camera, he's like, oh, my bad, my little one is running around. And I'm like, oh, really? I have a 1-year-old too. He's like, oh, for real? Yeah, what's his name? And we became friends. The whole argument was forgotten. What changed? I got to know him. That hostility, that whole mindset, everything that I was thinking was gone. The minute you know your church, right? Like when you begin to know, like you fall in love with the church, a lot like dating. The more you get to know about a person, the more you fall in love with them. That is the reason why we need to get to know our church. All right, let's keep moving. The next one. Notice in the story of Nehemiah, everybody built the wall. Everybody built the wall. Building the wall or building the church doesn't come down to 2 or 3 people. A lot of the times when you think about service, we limit it to like one of 4 things, right? Deaconhood or clergy, mazamran, Sunday school, or preaching. That's what we limit it to. Yes? Yes? Are you guys with me? Yes, you guys are with me?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. But there's more to service. More things you could do for the church other than the 4 things that I listed. For example, I can't say names because I think they would kill me if I said the name. But this conference, is it good? You guys like it, this conference? Very well organized? You guys like it? This whole conference was organized by 2 or 3 people. I'm not going to say their name. They're not deacons. They're not preachers. You probably won't even know who they are. You probably haven't even seen them around. Right? It's like 2 or 3 people. And you know what they did to make this event possible? They sent reminders. That's all they did. Hey, there's a deadline coming up. It's like, oh, wow, there's a deadline coming up. The next step is to do this. And we did the next step. And they're like, okay, if you want the conference to happen, then you should probably do this. And we did the next thing. And here we are. An entire conference by the holy diocese is possible because 2-3 people sent text messages. Surely you could send a text message. You know what I mean? Like surely you could pick up a phone and say, hey, we got a deadline coming up. My point is, there's so much to service other than what the priests are doing, what mazambrans are doing. But let's get a little bit more specific than that, okay? So I'm going to call out professions, and I want you to raise your hand if you're in one of these professions. I'm not going to list all of them, but just a few to give you an idea of what I'm talking about. Do I have any medical workers, nurses, doctors, anything related with the medical world? Anyone at all? Okay, all right, okay. So, for example, this is something you guys could do today. Like literally, like after the conference, this is something you guys could do today. Go in a corner and figure out a way that you guys could start hosting seminars for your community about health screenings. I said the church is what? The mother. Yes, the church is sick. Yes, all these are correct. But what I want right now is the mother, okay? That means as your mother, the church plays with you, the church teaches you, the church guides you, the church does everything. It's the mother. As health professionals, use your knowledge to see how you could help the community. You are the church. Come together and say, okay, annually, not monthly, annually, try to host like services in your church about healthy living. That's giving back to your church. That's helping your mother. Let's keep another one. Where are my IT guys at? IT folks at? All right. Can you please build a website for these churches? Please, oh dear Lord Jesus. Okay? I feel like all the websites were built in the 1990s and like nobody turned around to build them again. Okay? We need people to build websites. Social media. Like people are, how many people know Spot? The Spot Church. How do you know about Spot? Social media, that's right. You know who helped the social media campaign? By the way, they weren't this big, let me tell you. Okay, all right, I used to be a part of it. You know what helped them? Somebody in Spot used to work for some NFL like company or something like that. And he used to work in their media team. He came and he was like, okay, I will show you how you become successful on social media. He gave them training, and that's why they're going. Are you guys with me? It matters. It matters. These are things that you guys could be doing. All right. Where are my accountants, finance folks? All right. There's a reason why the church is broke, okay? Like, all right, we don't know what we're doing, all right? So please, like, honest, you think I'm joking, right? If I may tell a story, I heard once that people came to donate money to the church, right? And the church didn't have a system to accept their credit card. It was just like that. The technology wasn't there, right? These are things that you guys could be doing. Like you think we haven't figured it out? No, we need you. Your generation is needed. Like simple things are things that you could be involved in right now. I could keep going and going and going. Any academicians here, like teachers or we need people to tutor, SAT, and all these prep college students. We need things like this. Mentorship. These are things that you guys could be doing right now. Do you understand what I'm saying? Right now. If you guys everybody's over 18 here, you could go to the church and pick 5 kids from your church and start mentoring them right now. You don't have to teach them Bible study. You don't have to do anything. All you got to do is call them, hey, are you going to church this Sunday? I remember in DC, there was this one guy, his service was giving people rides. That was his service. I remember one time I called him up and I was like, hey, I need you to pick up somebody for me. He was like, are they far? And I was like, define far. He said a 2-hour radius. That was his service. As long as they're in the 2-hour radius, I'm ready to go. It's a simple thing that you guys are needed for. Remember, it's not about you all the time. Sometimes it's not about you. You have to serve your mom, right? And that means if you're not happy all the time, that's okay. I'm about to tell you guys how old I am. Please don't judge me, okay? Anybody saw Simpsons growing up? Oh, wow, okay. All 7 of you, okay, all right, great. At least it's not 0. So for those of you guys who don't know, Simpsons is like, I think the oldest show that's been around. Like it's been around forever. And there's a character on Simpsons, Ned Flanders. Remember Ned Flanders? So those of you guys who don't know the show, Ned Flanders is a Christian, okay? And the whole character is, he's never angry. In fact, the main character, Homer Simpson, he tries to get him angry, he doesn't like him, whatever. But Ned Flanders, he's just the nicest guy in the world, all right? But in this one episode that I'll never forget, his home was destroyed because of a hurricane, right? And Ned Flanders was very sad because his home was destroyed. But the whole community comes together and they rebuild his house for him. They call him over and they're like, hey, we built your house, come and look at it. So Ned, he goes and he starts to look at the house and see what happens. The minute he walks in, the problems are evident right away. One of the nails in the living room gets caught on his shirt. He's like, whoa, where's this nail from? Now Homer Simpson, he says, well, we only have 25 nails and only one is sticking out. That's not bad. All right, so you already get an idea of like how the house is going. And then he walks into the kitchen and he discovers that the toilet is next to the refrigerator. How's it messed up? Uneven walls, The floor is messed up. Everything is messed up. And the minute he walks out the house after his tour and he closes the door, the whole house comes crushing down. Here's the question. Why do you think Ned's house, when they rebuilt it, they built it in a horrible way? Why do you think that happened? Why do you think that happened? Why the negligence? Why didn't they care? It's not their house. It's not their house. Like one of the reasons he gave for why is the toilet next to the kitchen? He said, I'm not going to take it upstairs. It's not my business. It's too heavy. If it's not your house, you're not going to care. How much do you care about your mother? Unless we have ownership, taking responsibility, recognizing, hey, this is my church. This is my mother. We're not going to solve anything. Like I said, if you don't care, respectfully, I'm not talking to you. If you just don't care, it's not my business. I got my own life going on. I got my whole life, career ahead of me, whatever. I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to the people who care, who say, this is my church. I care. Then we got to take responsibility. Now, I got to be honest with you. If you read the story of Nehemiah, it's not just like rainbows. When he goes to build the temple, when he goes to build the wall, he gets resistance a lot. There are people that don't want him to build the wall. There are people that come after him, that accuse him of trying to take down the king and all this stuff. And what I can promise you is the minute you come to build the church, you're going to get resistance. I can promise you that. Don't expect people to come open arms and say, wow, you have great ideas. Come, wow, thank you. And he's laughing because he knows the reality. No one is going to put like a red carpet, great, come. The minute you come with ideas, the minute you say, I want to help, expect resistance. But I'm here to tell you, no one can push you away from your church. It is your church as much as it is my church, as much as it's the clergy's church. It is your church. Don't let people push you out. Why? It's your mother. Don't say, oh, well, I tried and it's not my fault or whatever. It's your mother. You have to care. That's why we are here. At the end, Nehemiah is able to gather all the people and they're able to build the wall. After they build the wall, he goes to the people. He makes them vow. He gets them to commit it to a covenant. He makes them promise that they will own up to their part of the deal. And they will take ownership and do the things that they're supposed to do. And I want to close on that note. So at this time, I want to ask everybody to rise. And I want you guys to hold hands. Hold hands. Hold them sweaty hands. It's okay. It's okay. Hold them sweaty hands. All right? This is what the wall looks like. When we're holding hand, we're united, then the wall can stand. But in order for the wall to stand, we got to stand shoulder to shoulder, working with each other, not against each other. Look around you. Look how beautiful we look. This is what we have. There is no one else coming to help us. This is the church. We are the only ones that can help build the church. I've never been more hopeful than at this moment about the future of the church. Yes, our mother is sick, but we are the ones who can help her. I have more hope in this generation and this time and this moment than ever. Because we are ready. We can do it. If what? We come together and we help our mother. Now, if you are convinced and you are ready to help your church. And I want you to repeat after me and take this vow. I will show up for my church.
I will show up for my church.
I will learn her story.
I will learn her story.
I will taste what she offers.
I will taste what she offers.
This church will not close on my watch.
This church will not close on my watch.
I will build the wall.
I will build the wall.
I will build my church.
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 وسبحت الإجابة.
Right? Look, I must say, there's a number of different things that I can't agree more with, and I'm so glad we got the opportunity to hear this today. Just to put it in perspective, there is no limit or no bound to how much you can serve for your church, our church. There is no capacity where, this is good enough. Who would have thought that the next step would have been medical seminars? I could have told you about the websites. The websites are, I don't even know if we have a website. Neither here nor there. Anyways. And I know one thing that can stifle that, as our brother articulated, was the ability or inability to come together. Especially for those of us that have the same mission, but approach it differently. The important thing to recall is that we are a part of a group of people that care about this home, with very few. You see, there's a saying, there are two painters that are commissioned to paint a city wall. One wants to paint it red, the other wants to paint it blue. And as they go back and forth, there are a million people that drive along the street that pass by with not a single care in the world for the wall. Yet, these two painters care just as much as the other one when it comes to how beautiful this makes their city look, how beautiful this makes their home. So hopefully, throughout your service, throughout your journey in service, you recall that the person next to you is dedicated and motivated to do just as many great things as you are. So thank you to our brother. That being said, I wanted to make a brief announcement for our deacons. We know that you are going to be leading us in prayer in just a few short minutes, maybe 30 minutes from now. That being said, there is dinner prepared for you all in the cafeteria, actually, because we know that there's a point in time where you have to stop eating for the day since you have Kadase tomorrow as well. So please take that opportunity now to go grab some dinner. That being said, we are into the next portion of, really the final segment of our conference today, and that is going to be our tithing session by my dear brother and friend, Deacon Tariku, who has taught me a number of things, and all of you now have the privilege to hear it as well. A round of applause for our brother.
እንዴት ዋላችሁ? አሜን። የእግዚአብሔር ስም የተመሰገነ ይሁን። ብፁዕ አባታችን አቡነ ያዕቆብ የሀገረ ስብከታችን ሊቀ ጳጳስ፣ አባታችን መላከ ምሕረት ቆሞስ አባ ገብረ ኪዳን፣ በሀገረ ስብከታችን የወረዳችን ሊቀ ካህናት፣ የዚህ ታላቅ ገዳም አስተዳዳሪ አባታችን ቀሲስ፣ my brothers, deacons, brothers and sisters, good evening again. How are you?
Good, thanks to God.
Amen. Good, thanks to God. It's kind of hard to talk after Dawit. That's why I wanted to do this session before Dawit, but it's all good. So the good thing is this is not a sermon, but rather this is a technical conversation, something that you will benefit as well. I know Dawit kept saying it's not about you. This one is a little bit about you. So I'm going to share with you a few things about understanding what tithing is from the Old Testament perspective and also from New Testament perspective. And a lesson for you to see money as stewardship responsibility and also not something that you must do, but rather is something that you wanted to do. And also we can connect biblical giving and also practical financial education, challenge to our generations. I know our brother David challenged us to be present and to help our mother church. And so that will be the challenge that I'm going to give you as well. Who owns what we have? So when we talk about tithing, oftentimes we think that we're giving money from us to God, to the church. But we all know that God owns everything. Before that, I wanted to share with you a personal story why I'm so passionate about tithing. And another passion that I have is about the sacraments. But today is about tithing, and I want to share with you a little story of mine. Right after I graduated from college, about 100 years ago, I got my first job as an engineer, and I went to the office, and I got my little cube, and I was talking to this fellow engineer about, he's also a young engineer, that was his first job. And I said, well, what are you going to do with all this money that we're making? We're giving like $25,000 bonus, which was a lot of money back then. And what are you going to do about it? And the first thing he said was, well, 10% is going to go to the church. And I said, wait, what? How are you going to give 10% of all of that to the church? And he looked at me like, wait a minute, I thought you're an Orthodox Christian and all of that. How is that so strange to you? And I said, yeah, but I mean, I give money to the church too, but 10% of what? $50,000, $60,000? The reason why I'm sharing that story with you guys is because tithing is not an education that we're given as a young person. And so for me, it was strange. It wasn't until later ages that I understand the power of tithing. And so tithing is not something we give to God, but rather that we give 10% of what God has given us. So God owns everything. We are stewards of money, time, abilities, and opportunities. So God has given us everything, and we're giving a portion of that to the church. So in Genesis 1:26, it says, let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, over the birds of the air, and over the cattle, over all the earth. And also in Genesis 1:28, it says, be fruitful and multiply, fill the earth and subdue it, have dominion. So dominion is God give us a responsibility over creation. As Brother David was teaching us earlier, when he was talking about creation, God created everything, and he has given everything to us to have dominion over and also stewardship. The stewardship meaning managing what belongs to God. That is all we are doing. The time that we have here on earth, the money that we make, everything that we have is what God has given us to have dominion over and also to have stewardship over. So I only have 30 minutes, so I'm trying to go as fast as I can. So tithing in the Old Testament is very structural and mechanical. What does that mean? You have 10% is already known, you give that money to the church. Abraham gave money to Melchizedek, 10% in Genesis 14. Jacob promised a tenth of what God would give him, and a tithe is described as belonging to the Lord in Leviticus 27:30. So all of these scriptures are telling us that there is a portion of money that we have to give to the church. So it's very mechanical, you know how much it is, and you give that accordingly. However, in New Testament, it's different. It's different. Our Lord in Matthew 23:23, he told us that Jesus condemned giving without justice, mercy, and faith. So in Matthew 23, the Pharisees used to give money, but they don't have justice. They don't have mercy. They give a lot of money, but they don't have any sense of humanity to the people that they're giving money to. And so he condemned it. In Mark 12:41, Jesus praised sacrificial giving. You guys know the story, that poor lady, she gave all she has to Christ, and the Pharisees were giving all kinds of fancy things to Christ, and they wanted to feel bigger than this lady. But our Lord was looking at this lady rather than the Pharisees. So New Testament giving is different in a sense that we have to give with justice, mercy, and faith, with all passion and love that we have. And so in New Testament, in Old Testament, I talked about being fixed, mechanical, but in New Testament, we have to give everything. That's what we're told. I depicted this picture over AI, by the way. It's kind of nice. So what you see in the middle is the Old Testament giving, and that is just being purely a decent human being. You're told to give 10%, you give 10%. But in New Testament, you have to give everything. And so 10% is the bare minimum that you should be giving. So there is a lot of confusion about tithing, offering, almsgiving, and service. So one thing that I see in our church is people give offering, almsgiving, and service without tithing. If you cannot do the basic bare minimum, the 10%, then you're not really giving, you're not really offering, you're not really doing almsgiving. So the first thing that you ought to be doing is tithing, the 10%. And everything else comes after that. So I talked about the culture of giving and how we didn't grow up in a culture of giving and tithing. That's not to say that, our fathers and our mothers before us, the generation before us, I'm not bashing them. But that's just how they know. So they came to this country. I know most of you have heard the story that, I came to this country with $100 without knowing the language and so on and so forth. But all of that is true. They did what they can with limited resources that they have. They built this church with the very limited resources that they have. And so we have to honor them, we have to be thankful, and we have to be appreciative of what they have done for us. But we cannot build the church of tomorrow by the way that the previous generation was doing it. How do we raise money? How many of you have attended fundraisers at church? How do you feel about how we do fundraisers? Positive or negative? Negative, right? It's very intrusive. It's very, I'm trying to find a very not bad word, but it's just not good. The reason being, we don't give tithing. We don't do the tithing that we're supposed to. And so that's the way they know, and that's how they raise money. But a church of the future needs to have a predictable source of income through tithing from you. So the question should move from who can we ask to how much can each member participate faithfully. So when we come to church and when you do tithing, you have to give with passion and with purpose, and knowing that that is your responsibility rather than being forced to give. I'm trying to make it as quick as possible since we don't have a lot of time. So the old way of doing tithing is, or soliciting fund, is there's a need, there's a mortgage to pay. We do fundraisers that we talked about. we solicit money or we donate, and we do that thing again, all over again. Sustainable pattern that I'm talking about, the challenge that I'm giving you is, first of all, believe that tithing is your responsibility as a Christian. And you have to give it every month. You have to have a budget, how much money that you want to give to the church, to the ministry, and for the growth of the church. So sustainable pattern is what we need to prevent what our brother David was talking about earlier for the closing of this church. All right, I'm going to move fast, guys. So this is a simple example that I put together. If you have a monthly income of $2,000, what is 10% of $2,000? Simple math, guys. $200. So the first thing that you ought to be doing is give $200. And you have a saving of $200. How many of you are a fan of Dave Ramsey? I don't see a lot of hands. That's not good. I listen to Dave Ramsey like he's a gospel. How many of you are familiar with his 7 steps? Okay, all right. I see your hands over there. So the first thing that you ought to be doing from your salary is give 10% to the church, and after that is savings and whatever you need to pay debt, additional givings. That's the almsgiving that I talked about earlier. And the rest is fun, whatever hobby that you do. So the 3 generations that Brother David talked about, and I kind of highlighted earlier, what the previous generation did was, with all the resources they have, they established this church. What is bestowed on us? Our responsibility is to create sustainable giving. Instead of doing fundraising and all of that, have sustainable giving through tithing. Financial literacy, strong ministry, and healthy institutions. All those things that we're challenged to do earlier is a sign that our institution as a church is not healthy. Be it creating a website, be it having health-related work, all of that is a sign of not healthy institutions. So our responsibility is to build a very healthy institution. And if we do that, then the next generation will inherit faith, institutions, strong institutions, the stewardship, and a vision to serve. All right. So, all right, I'll give 10%, but I have questions. If I make $100,000, 10% of that is $10,000. How am I giving the whole $10,000 for the church? Here's how I did it, and this is the advice that I'll give you. I don't think we're on the same page here, guys. The first thing that I encourage all of you to do is open a tithing account. It could be a saving or a checking account. Open that, move money to that account, 10% of it, without having an intention to give it away. Don't worry about that. So have an account, move 10% to that account. You have no cards, debit cards to access it. You have no way of taking money out of that account. And then pray. Pray for God to give you the wisdom that using that 10% of the money that you have for the purpose of God's work. And then you'll transition giving that money, some of it, maybe 1%, 2%, and you move up to 10%. But like I said, 10% is just a bare minimum. And the ultimate goal is to give everything that you have, including yourself. Dave Ramsey says giving is the most fun you can have with your money. It will become fun. I know it doesn't sound like it, giving $10,000 for somebody, that's not you, but it is fun. It becomes fun. The other questions you might have is, well, I don't make much. I don't make much. But one thing that we're missing is 10% is not your money to begin with. That's a Family Guy episode. I don't know how many of you all watched that. Brian took a few dollars from Stewie, and Stewie was trying to get his money. And Brian was avoiding Stewie, and stuff happened right afterwards. So that's obviously God is not going to come after us saying, "Where's my money?" Right? But just remember that 10% is God giving you to test your trustworthiness. So for those of you who say, "I don't make that much money," well, 10% of whatever you make is not your money to begin with. So you have to have that frame of mind for you to give that 10%. The almsgiving and the offering and the other good things that you do for the church comes out of the 90%. It's not a part of your tithing. So if you have a question of saying, "I don't make that much money," have a frame of mind that that 10% is never yours to begin with. All right. The other question that people ask me is, well, the church doesn't manage the money very well. So how am I going to give this hard-earned money to the church? And I used to ask that question myself. So there are some churches, well, a lot of churches going through lawsuits, spending the money, the resources that is not youth-centered for shiny buildings and paintings, which is good by in and itself. I'm not saying it's bad, but not something that you would like the money that you give for the church to go to. That's a fair question. So the challenge I have for you guys is do what you can to make a difference. If you think that the church is not managing your money very well, if you have a financial background, then come to the church and do the finances for the church. If you see the website that's just not right back in the 90s, well, come and build the website. So instead of being in the back and say, well, the church is not going to manage my money very well, come to the church and make it better. The second one is you do have control over the resources. I know there are some people who said, well, 10% is to a particular church that you go to, you must give that money to the church. I kind of disagree with that. Okay? That 10%, obviously every church has a basic need, right? Mortgage has to be paid, light bill, AC bills, all of that need to be paid. So for that purpose, it's not a question. You have to give money for the church that you go to. But outside of that, you can invest that money for God's work the way you see it fit. Remember, if you can make a difference to the church that you go to, make a difference. But if you believe that you have given the money that the church needs, then the rest of that 10% needs to go to God's work. How do you do that? Well, there are a lot of things that you can do. God's work. Feed the needy. There are a lot of Ethiopians who can use your money. A lot of poor people here in this country, our neighborhoods and streets. So you do have control because God has given you dominion and stewardship to the finances that you make. So the theme of our conference is, what is it? Rise and build. So build your faith. By building your faith, you build your character, build your family through living a sacramental life, through holy matrimony, holy communion, build your financial futures by being a good stewardship to the resources that God has given you. Build the church and the community. Let's rise up and build. Was about Xavier.
Can we get one more Kaliwat Yasam Malan for our brother? A round of applause will work too. Izmir, or did that hit also a little too close to home? So I can say, it's easy, right? Like, I think hopefully everybody heard that and took away 100% agree, heard all the words that TK said. But I know that at our stage in life, there's a slight bit of ignorance. I'll kind of expose myself from a couple years ago. And it was easy to say, oh, you know what? They're older. It's easy for people with money to say to give away money, right? But there's truth to the fact that even if we get 10 cents, one of those cents belongs to God. After all, let's take it out of money. If I provided you a pizza and asked you for one slice, who would you be not to give it? And we've got to reflect internally. See, there is one pure example of a person who has sacrificed not only their time, not only their money, but even their life. And that is Umabitachin Mariam. In all things, in all ways, she gave up her life for the church. And here we are being asked not to give up our entire lives, but instead to simply give 10% of our money. That's what we're asking for. So think about that. I'll expose some of my friends. I won't call anybody by name, but this was me at one point. We kind of fall into like 3 categories, right? There's those that are tithe at least as much as they can, but then sometimes we become what's called a part-time accountant. See what we do? We look at our budget, we look at our money, and we don't look at it until tithing gets brought up. We start looking at how much we made, how much we went, and all of a sudden we become accountants, glasses down, checking the budget. Yeah, it's not in the budget this year, guys. Tithing's not going to happen. Is what we always end up saying somehow, some way. Then there's the other part of us that's like, we've come up with our own rules somehow. Somewhere along the way we've said, well, if you really tally it up, you have $1 to a homeless person. It's basically $10. I spent Sunday and Saturday at church this past week. Dropped a couple bucks off in the basket. I think I'm owed money now, if you really do the math. And that's our own shortcoming. Realize, everything belongs to God, everything is God. Especially when we're talking to our younger brothers and sisters, I try to get the same concept to them, that all things come from God, all things belong to God. Basketball is the thing I use, right? I'm like, who invented basketball? And they're like, LeBron, duh. And so, even in those simple things, we understand that whether it is the technology we use, the clothing on our back, the things that we enjoy, the feelings we possess, came from God, belong to God. That being said, for the sake of time, we will now go into a hymn or two from our hymnal singers.
With his grand wings, interceding angels. suffering, the language of Moab, he banished from my mouth. He tuned me with his grace, and blessings filled my house. Soaring with his grand wings, interceding angel, with the name of our God, the messenger Michael, the guardian who praise me, leads me to his temple. is glorified. We praise Him, for He is glorified. The waters have run dry upon our enemies triumphantly we rise. We were free from your hold, the chains of slavery. The land that gives us life is truly heavenly. Let us give praise to the Almighty God. Let us give praise to the Almighty God. We praise Him, for He is glorified. We praise Him, for He the